underrated 80s movies. Now, some of these movies you may have heard of, some of them you may have no idea what they are whatsoever. That's the whole point of this, is to do with 80s movies that I enjoy watching from time to time. Some of them I may not have seen for a while, but I know if I put it on, chances are I'll probably be able to quote it word for word. Ask anyone about Star Wars, for example. Even whenever I was watching Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 last night, I was watching that and was able to quote quite a bit of that. So yeah, it's amazing what doesn't stay in your head from school, but what stays in your head whenever you watch movies or listen to songs. So yeah, so obviously I've got my top 10 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just double checking, and I've got 2 honourable mentions, so we'll start off with that. And if you are a fan of Sylvester Stallone, you may know what this is. This is basically a movie to do with Sylvester Stallone, whose character is Lincoln Hawk, and he's an arm wrestler. And he goes to some championship thing to win a truck, because he's a trucker, and he's gone on a journey with his son, called Michael, who's played by an annoying little boy. And there's some classic lines in this, like, I'm going to go through you like gas through a funnel, and whenever this guy headbutts him, he goes, nose hurt Hawk, and you're like, okay. It's just one of those ones in the 80s, you know, like if you were bringing it out now, it would make nothing at the box office, but I think this was Stallone at the height of his fame and stuff, so it's just one of those enjoyable things that if you just want to put something on that is quite cheesy, but watch it, then go for that. Also, if you have watched Cobra Kai, I think season 2, whenever Aisha is talking to Sam and says that, oh, we have to go and watch a film called Over the Top, Sensei said so. So this is part of the Johnny Lawrence watch list. So yeah. Next one you've probably heard of, it's Labyrinth with the great David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly, isn't it? Yes, it is. This is obviously done by Jim Henson puppetry with likes of, oh, what's his name? I know there was one in this called Ludo. I can't remember his name, the character there. Can't remember his name. It's been a while since I've seen this one. So I might have to fix that once I've finished watching this. I do remember that there was a part in this that used to freak me out as a child, wherever there's these puppets who keep playing football with their heads, and for some reason that seemed to scare me whenever I was a kid. So that's maybe why I've decided not to watch it, because I don't want to have bad nightmares. But yes, David Bowie obviously sings quite a few songs in this. Basically, Jennifer Connelly's character wishes that her baby brother would just go away, and he has taken the baby, and she has to go through a labyrinth to try and find him to get him back if she wants to. But yeah, it's just a really good movie and just sheer nostalgia from the 80s. So right into the top 10. The first one you'll have heard me talk about in my Mario 3 video, which is The Wizard. I also, at the time of recording, it isn't live yet, but I've done a episode on Back to the 80s podcast. So if and when I have the link for that, I'll pop it in the link down below, and you can listen to me and Glenn talk about this. This is basically a character, Jimmy, who has like PTSD and wants to go to California. His brother Corey and can't remember her name. I don't know. Jenny, I want to say. They find out that Jimmy's really good at video games, and they're going to take him to the video game championship. And you see a very, very young Tobey Maguire in that shot as well. Also has Christian Slater and Beau Bridges in it as well, as you can see there. So that's number 10. This is also available to watch on Netflix. You will find a growing trend with this. Will be one person who goes in about 3 of these, and that's John Candy. John Candy was just, basically anything he did was just pure gold. Uncle Buck stars a very young, as you can probably see there, Kevin McAllister, or Macaulay Culkin, as we know him. This is basically to do with their parents have to go on some business trip or whatever, and some family crisis, sorry, and he's in charge of them. And just some of the things, like that scene there where he's cutting the drill, which is just hilarious. It's just one of those movies that obviously they don't like him at the start and they end up loving him at the end. And it's just a really good feel-good story, but it is just pure John Candy. Just a lot of fun and everything. In fact, there's 4 movies that he's in here, and the next one is Brewster's Millions. I always remember this being on TV whenever I was a kid, and it's one that if it came on TV now, or if I was bored, I would probably fire this DVD in. Excuse me. Basically, Monty Brewster, played by the brilliant Richard Pryor, has inherited quite a bit of money. You can either take a lump sum, which is like $1 million, or you can go for the big one. It's like 300 million. Yeah, he stands to inherit 300 million, but only if you can spend 30 million in a single month. He's not allowed to tell anyone that he's doing this. He's not allowed to acquire anything. So basically, he has to spend 30 million, and then at the end, he has to basically go in with all the receipts and everything like that. And it's just a really good, fun story. And John Candy's his friend because they both play baseball, and then he ends up giving the team like new kits, and he ends up I think he ends up running for like mayor because he plows a lot of money into the campaign for it, and obviously he doesn't own anything then. So yeah, it's a really good really good story. It's just a fun one to watch, especially Richard Pryor and John Candy together. They're really good. So that's 9. Number 8 is a film that I haven't watched in ages. I was hunting through my DVDs and I found this. Oh God, I remember this, and that's Inner Space. This stars Dennis Quaid, Meg Ryan, and Martin Short. Basically, there's an experiment where Dennis Quaid is in like a ship, and it gets shrunk down. It's meant to be put into somebody, but it gets put into the wrong person, and that's Martin Short's character. He's then able to hear Dennis Quaid talking because he attaches his onto some nerve to do with your ears or whatever, and he's able to change his looks and all this here, and it's just a really weird but fun story. So yeah, so Jack Potter feels funny today. Nothing uses 25 hour a day hypochondriac. So Gremlins executive producer Steven Spielberg and Joe Dante for this comic adventure that won the 1987 Best Visual Effects Academy Award. There you go. But yeah, it's just, if you haven't seen this and you're just wanting something different to watch, because I haven't seen many other movies that have this in it, I would definitely recommend that. So that is number 9, 8, 7. So number 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, I'm just making sure. Number 6 is Short Circuit. It stars Steve Guttenberg and Ali Sheedy, which I've never heard of her since. Basically, this is to do with some robots that are like army intelligent robots. One of them gets struck by lightning, and then that turns him alive. He needs input, which means that he needs to read to then learn more, and it kind of becomes human. But the other people aren't wanting to do with that. The army want to deactivate it because it could be lethal, because he has like a laser cannon on his shoulder, which obviously Johnny Five, which he names himself, doesn't want to do. They did bring out a sequel to this, which isn't as good, but it's still funny, but it doesn't have Steve Guttenberg in it. So obviously you could tell that the first one was the best one. But yeah, life is not a malfunction. So yeah, another great fun story from the 80s, which actually my mum quite enjoys this one as well. So that leaves us to number 5, which is See No Evil, Hear No Evil. So we have Richard Pryor, who plays a blind man, and Gene Wilder, who plays a deaf man. They run a news agent stand together, and then there's a murder that takes place right under their noses, but they're the only witnesses. So, but then they're both wanted for the murder. It's just something, again, with all these movies, there's something different about them, but it's just so funny. Again, I think this is on Netflix, I'm not sure, but all these movies here you could probably pick up for next to nothing, especially if you're in the UK. Go on the Music Magpie and you'll probably get like 2 of these for £3 or whatever. But yeah, it's just a really fun movie that, again, is something different, and you'll not have seen this anywhere since. And Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor are starring so many movies like Stir Crazy and things, and they're just hilarious together. And if you haven't seen this, I will highly recommend this. So that's number 5. Number 4 is another John Candy one, which is The Great Outdoors with Dan Aykroyd. So there's like a lakeside resort, and Dan Aykroyd is a really wealthy entrepreneur, you know, like he's great at business, whereas John Candy really isn't, but he's got a great family and the family loves each other, whereas Dan Aykroyd, the kids that he has are just freaky. They remind you of the kids from The Shining. Yeah, so they have fun in the sun. Unfortunately, is the two in-laws have in common is their intense dislike for each other. Soon as brother-in-law against brother-in-law in that roarious and hilarious fight to the finish to see who really knows how to enjoy the great outdoors. But again, these two, John Candy just seems to work with anyone brilliantly. And it's just a really, really good movie to watch. There's a scene in it to do with once John Candy has ate an entire massive steak. The scene after that is just quite hilarious. So I would say, if you haven't seen that, go see it. Number 3 is the last John Candy film, which is Planes, Trains and Automobiles, with Steve Martin and John Candy. So this is basically to do with Steve Guttenberg. Think of Driving Home for Christmas, but it's to do with Thanksgiving. I watch this every Christmas time because we don't have Thanksgiving over in the UK, but it's a good family feel movie that Steve Martin wants to get home in time for Thanksgiving, but the flights are all cancelled to do with snow, so he tries to get on the train, and it's just a mess. Then he meets John Candy's character, Del Griffith, and that's Del, that's Neil. Okay. And he's a curtain hanger salesman, and it's just hilarious. Like the scene where they're in bed together, mind out of the gutter, is just hilarious to do with that and the pillows. And then it's just, again, all these movies seem to last less than an hour and a half, but you don't see the time going in because they're just so good. But yeah, so every traveler's nightmare in a comedy come true. But again, if you want something different to watch at Christmas, add this to your list. So number 2, you may have heard of this movie, hopefully you have, which is Coming to America. This, for me, is my favourite Eddie Murphy movie. This also has a very young Samuel Jackson who plays like a bank robber. And it has Arsenio Hall, who did the voice for Winston in the real Ghostbusters. You do have some other characters like James Earl Jones, who plays Eddie Murphy's father, King Jaffer, and John Amos, who you may have seen in like Die Hard 2, amongst other things. This is to do with Eddie Murphy is obviously a prince, and he is going to America to try and find his princess because they have like arranged marriage, and he doesn't want that. He wants to find his own person to marry, and it's just a hilarious story about how he then kind of doesn't want to have any luxuries or anything. He wants to live poor, so he can attract somebody who's attracted to him and all his money. And this one here I actually got for about £3 off Museum Magpie, and it's a 2-disc special edition, digitally remastered with new interviews and documentaries. Obviously they are bringing out a sequel to this, but when it comes out, just to do with everything that's going on, whether it's going to be this year or next year, hopefully it's this year, because it is something I look forward to watching, and it's just got so many classic lines, and there's probably things that you've seen on TikTok or whatever that have come from this movie. And I would seriously say that if you're after a feel-good Eddie Murphy movie or a love story, then go for this. Number 1, excuse me, number 1 is a movie that I watched numerous times whenever I was a kid, and so much so that I've included both the first and the second one, and this is the Cannonball Run 1 and the Cannonball Run 2. This is to do with a story to do with they have to get from one side of America to another without, getting arrested and stuff, and breaking the speed limit and all this here. It stars obviously Burt Reynolds, Don DeLuise, who are just terrific together. You've got Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin. You've got Roger Moore, the first American movie to do with Jackie Chan. This is the movie as well where we get the first set of outtakes at the end of the movie. That's something that Jackie Chan used to do in his hometown, his home country. But then he wanted to do it on these as well, and then that's why we get outtakes at the end of movies now, is thanks to Jackie Chan. It also has a very young Farrah Fawcett. It has so many different people in it. If you've seen Smokey and the Bandit, you'll love this. So like the Smokey and the Bandit, Hooper, which I actually have sitting over here. It was going to be an honourable mention, but it's in the 70s, and I'm trying to do ones from 80s to 95, which is a lot more trickier than you think. So yeah, it's just a great movie with so many great, it has like a good fight scene in it, which the second one does. The second one actually has Frank Sinatra in it, has Jamie Farr, who was in MASH. It also has Telly Savalas, who's terrific in it, and the guy who played Jaws in James Bond. And again, it's as good as the first one, if I'm honest. It's one of the ones that when I was a kid I enjoyed the second one more because of the fight scene in it rather than the first one. But they're both just hilarious movies, and if you haven't seen them, again, this one here you'll get for next to nothing. This one here is quite trickier to find. I found mine's an American import, which comes in one of these clip ones, which I never really liked, rather than the hard shell one. But yeah, and obviously it has Captain Chaos, which is a superhero that Marvel should really have in their movies. But anyway, that's my top 10 underrated 80s movies. Is there a movie here that you are interested to check out? Leave in the comments down below. Or what's your top underrated 80s movie? 80s/1995. Let me know in the comments down below. I would like to hear your opinion on it. My next video is going to be another top 10, but this is going to be top 10 retro movies I have never seen before. I did ask several people about like their top 80s to 1995, their movies that I might not have seen, and there's quite a few of them that I haven't seen before, and some of them I think may shock you, because I was talking to a guy in work and I said, hey, I've never seen that, and he was like, really? I was like, yep. So I think a lot of people will be watching it, and then I'll go, number 10 is, and then I'll just hear, like in my head, I'll just hear, really? You've never seen that before? It's just like, okay, it's not like as if I haven't seen Return of the Jedi or Indiana Jones or whatever. But yeah, so I'm going to do that. After that, I'm not sure what video I'm going to do. I have several ideas, but I don't want to say anything in case I change it. So the next video will be another top 10, but it'll be in the 80s movies that I have never seen before. So hopefully you find that interesting. So yeah, thank you very much for watching as always. Please like, share. I'm on 40 subscribers. Once I get to 50, I have a couple of DVDs that I'm going to give away. So if you could pop it on your Twitter or whatever, just if we can get a few more likes. I'm really enjoying doing these, and I find that I don't stammer as much as I do with some of the older videos. I probably would go back and watch this and going, but yeah, so thank you very much for watching, and until next time.